Hello and welcome to Crossfire, the show that dives into the heart of global conflicts, where nations collide, alliances shift, and lives hang in the balance. On tonight's show, we tell you about a chilling new revelation from the battleground of the Russia-Ukraine war, where Vladimir Putin is reportedly orchestrating the execution of prisoners of war. Also on the show, we tell you about India's new defense deal with Vietnam, as New Delhi aims to counter growing Chinese aggression on the South China Sea. Stay tuned as we break down these critical developments and explore their impact on the future of global power and security. War has rules, a fragile line separating humanity from chaos. But what happens when that line is obliterated? Not by mistake, but by cold, calculated intent. That is the reality unfolding in Russia, where surrendered prisoners of war are being executed at an alarming rate. From harrowing footage of executions to chilling reports of starvation, these are calculated moves to terrorize the enemy. Now the question is, how much longer can justice be delayed before humanity itself becomes the ultimate casualty of war? Our next report tells you more.
War has its rules. Rules meant to preserve a shred of humanity, even in the chaos of conflict. But what happens when those rules are shattered, not by accident, but by design? This is what's reportedly taking place in Russia with prisoners of war. A chilling tale of surrendered soldiers executed in cold blood. These are not random acts of violence. They're systematic, calculated, and accelerating at an alarming rate. In the past year alone, 127 Ukrainian prisoners of war have been executed. Each death a harrowing reminder of what happens when lawlessness takes hold. From soldiers gunned down as they surrender to captives, starved, tortured, and even beheaded, the atrocities defy comprehension. Yet they are happening. This isn't just a story of war crimes. It's a story of impunity, defiance, and the global silence that risks making these horrors the new normal. Russia stands accused of escalating a horrifying pattern of war crimes, with allegations of executing Ukrainian prisoners of war at an alarming rate. And the most unsettling part is that 86% of these killings have taken place just this year. Since the beginning of Russia's invasion in 2022, at least 147 Ukrainian prisoners of war have been executed. Shockingly, according to the Ukrainian government, 127 of these killings happened this year alone. Ukraine's War Department says these executions are part of a deliberate policy, and the brutality isn't hidden. It's captured in harrowing stories and chilling footage. Take the grim events of October. 9 Ukrainian prisoners were stripped half naked and executed in Kursk by their Russian captors. Or the haunting video from September, when 16 Ukrainian soldiers who had lined up to surrender were mercilessly mowed down by machine gun fire. And it doesn't stop there. Reports detail unimaginable cruelty. Prisoners starved to skeletal frailty, others tortured beyond recognition. In one case, a soldier was found beheaded. In another, a body was discovered with hands tied behind the back and impaled with a sword. Under international humanitarian law and the Geneva Convention, such acts are clear-cut war crimes. The execution of prisoners of war is not just a violation. It's a flagrant mockery of the principles meant to safeguard humanity even in the times of war. Yet, Russia denies these allegations. President Vladimir Putin has categorically dismissed claims of war crimes, insisting that his forces always follow international conventions. But while evidence mounts, justice lags. Thousands of Ukrainians remain in captivity, their fates uncertain as the global community grapples with how to respond. So, what happens now? Will the international community rise to the challenge? Or will these crimes join the long list of atrocities that fade into the fog of war? Because silence in the face of injustice isn't just complicity, it's surrendering to the darkness.
In a chilling escalation of the Russia-Ukraine war, the front lines have moved into unexpected territory. Kazan, a key Russian city known for its missile and drone production, was struck by a Ukrainian drone attack, igniting a furious response from President Vladimir Putin. With Putin vowing many times more destruction and retaliation, one question looms large. Is this the spark that will ignite a new, more devastating phase in the Russia-Ukraine conflict? For more on this, listen in to our next report.
In the heart of Russia, far from the front lines of the conflict, a new chapter of escalation has begun. Kazan, a city known for its key role in Russia's military-industrial complex, has become the latest battleground in the war between Russia and Ukraine. A drone strike, striking a luxury high-rise, has ignited a fiery threat from President Vladimir Putin. But what does this strike really mean for the future of the war? Is this an isolated incident? Or is it a glimpse into a larger, more dangerous pattern of retaliation? Putin's promise to deliver many times more destruction in response has left the world on edge. On December 21st, Kazan, a major center for Russia's missile and drone production, was struck by an Ukrainian drone, igniting a fierce reaction from the Kremlin. The attack targeted a critical facility responsible for missile fuel production. But the biggest story lies in what this incident signals for the future of the war. Putin's response was swift and ominous. Ukraine will regret the attack, and Russia will escalate the destruction it inflicts on Kyiv. Now, the drone strikes have become a central component of Ukraine's military strategy as they fight back against Russia's invasion. With Ukrainian forces facing mounting challenges on the front lines, particularly in Donbas and Kharkiv, these drone attacks are an attempt to disrupt Russia's war machine from within. Meanwhile, the war on the ground continues to rage. Russia has claimed significant advances in the Donbas and Kharkiv regions. Yet, these advances come at a heavy price. According to reports, Russia is losing nearly 2,000 soldiers per day to death or injury, a staggering toll that's only escalating. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, the war's pressure is mounting in other ways as well. Ukrainian air defense units have been ordered to send soldiers to the front lines to bolster the fight. The country is grappling with a major recruitment crisis, a sign of how desperate the situation has become. As Russia threatens more destruction in response to Ukraine's drone strikes, the war between these two nations grows even more brutal and unpredictable. Will Putin's promise of devastation lead to an even fiercer escalation of the conflict? Or will there be any hope of peace in the near future?
India is gearing up for a $700 million defense deal with Vietnam that could shift power dynamics in Asia. The BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, a marvel of speed, precision, and firepower. This missile, born of India-Russia collaboration, could become Vietnam's key defense against rising Chinese aggression in the South China Sea. But as India's defense exports soar and geopolitical stakes climb higher, one question remains. Is this deal a boost for regional security or a spark for greater tensions? Our next report decodes this for you.
India is on the brink of sealing a $700 million deal with Vietnam for the sale of BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles. This is a big move for both countries and could happen in just a couple of months. Vietnam's army and navy are expected to place orders for the shore-based anti-ship missile version, which could significantly boost their defense against Chinese aggression in the South China Sea. Now, what makes the BrahMos missile such a hot item in the global arms market? The BrahMos is a supersonic cruise missile developed jointly by India's DRDO and Russia's NPO. It's named after two rivers, India's Brahmaputra and Russia's Moskva, symbolizing the partnership behind its creation. The missile is known for its speed, versatility, and precision. It can reach Mach 2.5 to Mach 3.5, which is incredibly fast for a cruise missile. Depending on the variant, it can strike targets between 300 kilometers and 500 kilometers away. It can be launched from land, ships, submarines, and even aircraft. This isn't India's first BrahMos export either. Back in 2022, India signed a $375 million deal with the Philippines to deliver 3 shore-based anti-ship missile systems. That delivery is already underway and reportedly on schedule. And it's not just Vietnam and the Philippines. Other countries like Indonesia and Malaysia are also showing interest, particularly in the air-launched variant for the Sukhoi Su-30 jets. So, why is India pushing its defense exports so hard? India's defense industry has traditionally been about importing expensive foreign weapons, but in recent years, there's been a shift towards exporting indigenous systems like the BrahMos, and it's paying off. India's defense exports hit a record 21,000 crore rupees this year. That's 30 times what it was a decade ago. The country has set an ambitious $5 billion target for defense exports by 2025. Now, what's making India's weapons so popular? They're cost-effective compared to Western systems, but still high quality. The BrahMos, for example, offers cutting-edge tech at a price that's more appealing to countries with tighter budgets. But this isn't just about money. It's about geopolitical strategy too. By selling advanced weapons like the BrahMos, India strengthens ties with friendly nations, expands its influence, and counters rivals like China. So, whether it's the Philippines, Vietnam, or potential deals with Indonesia and Malaysia, the BrahMos is proving to be a game changer, not just on the battlefield, but also in shaping India's role as a global defense exporter. India's message is clear. It's no longer just a buyer in the global arms market. It's becoming a serious seller too.
That's all we have for you in this edition of Crossfire. See you again tomorrow.